Thank you. Thank you all for being here tonight. It's great to have this opportunity to share with you that so many of you have taken this time and committed to listening. I want to talk to you about my story based on what I value. And I'm looking forward to sharing that because I think it's important to you too. I want to live in my state, our state of Colorado, here with my husband, my sons, my daughters, and I want to feel safe walking down the street. I want to be safe when I go to the park, when I go to church, to be in worship. I want my children, as they come home from dates or go to school, whatever situation they participate in our democracy, I want them to feel free to do it. Many of you can relate to that because I know that you go camping and you ski and you take in the beauty of our state. About 2 years ago now, in May, my son, one of my sons, was arrested while walking black in our neighborhood. He hung out at the jazz festival. If you can imagine a summer day, a week before his graduation. I and a bunch of ladies from church, we were hanging out at the Denver Museum of Nature and Science. There was an exhibit there for the Dead Sea Scrolls. So it was an exciting day. It was a beautiful day. But that night after the jazz festival and the movie with his girlfriend and her family, he got picked up on the side of the road, forced to do that thing that all Black folks tell their children about, to be ready. He was stopped using this procedure called a show up. And what that means is my son was taken out of a police car because there was a robbery nearby. And after he was arrested, he was placed between two police vehicles on the side of the road, in handcuffs, with an officer on either side of him. Imagine how guilty that makes you look. And what the police did was they brought the victim, who had been traumatized that night, in the back of another police vehicle, 50 feet away across the median from where my son was standing. And they drove her past him so that she could make an identification. So in 4.5 seconds, my son's life, our family's life, was changed forever. It took us 6.5 months to fight for him not to be put in prison for 2 to 6 years of his life. I have to tell you, and I thank God that we were successful, because I had people like all of you here in Together Colorado. I had a husband. I wasn't a single parent. I had people fighting for me, and I was able, because of the work that I do, to be able to fight. There are so many people who can't fight. A show up is when they take a single person and they present that person alone to the victim or the witness of a crime and ask, is this the person? And when a positive identification is made, then that person is then arrested. So my son went from being detained on the side of the road, suffering this procedure, to being arrested officially. That's what happened to my son. And what I want you to know about how that affects a family is an ordinary day that any of you could experience was transformed into something ugly, life-altering, traumatizing. And unfortunately, it's happened every single month since this happened to my son. So if you silently count from 1 to 24, just in your own mind. And imagine that happening, that trauma happening on television for other people and for you and your family again and again and again. So what I want to do is invite you into this work with us, this anti-racist work, because it's the same for housing and for every other thing that we're fighting against. Every other sharing of democracy that we're asking for is tied to anti-racist work and this change in our policing. We're asking that the state of Colorado train all officers in a uniform manner across all law enforcement. We're asking that data be collected because currently there's no data being collected. And this procedure, this identification procedure, is only used in the most extreme of circumstances. And when that happens, then I can say that I'm a part of this democracy in the ideal that it's been presented in our nation. I'm hoping that you will help me as we move forward so that my children can say that they experience this democracy the same way that any of you would. Thank you.